Good day and welcome everyone. My name is Raul and I am with SMB, and I would like to welcome you to SMB's Business Acceleration channel. There's a lot of things we're going to be covering for you. There's a lot of information that as a licensed professional or as a growing small business, medium business, there's a lot of things that are going to be introduced. I'm holding my phone because I want to make sure that I don't miss any essential points that I want to cover, and I want to make sure that this first video gives you a really good idea of what you can come to expect from SMB. First of all, in business, there are the known knowns. Just like when we wake up, we know exactly where to go, what to do, take care of things that we understand because they're already inside our knowledge base. Okay, we have obviously the ability to be smart, which is storing information, and then intelligence, which is the ability to take information from different containers and combine them. That's the evidence of intelligence. So in the world of business, there are the known knowns. We don't have to think about them. We just do them. A lot of them are subconscious. Then there's the known unknowns, and those are the ones that we say, I don't understand how business credit for a real estate brokerage works. I'm going to go look into it because I need to have that for my business. That is where you can explore and then fill in the gap, turning an unknown into a known. However, there's a third layer, and this is the one that's the anomaly. It's the unknown unknowns. And those are the ones that you are not aware of them, nor are you looking for them. And if you passed right by them, you wouldn't know it because obviously there's no awareness of it. So when it comes to business, give you one example. Yes, under the known knowns, we know we got to get an education. Under the unknown unknowns, someone might say, let me go get my real estate license so I can go ahead and do real estate. Under the unknown unknowns, someone may not find out till decades later that a realtor is literally the branded title for a entity or trademark that was actually registered by the Realtors Association, and you are not a realtor. You don't have to be a realtor. You are a real estate agent that can practice your real estate activity without having to be designated realtor, without having to join the association, without having to use their association contracts. A lot of people hear that, they're going, did I just learn that the association, that the guy in charge or the gal in charge is getting $800,000 a year in a salary to run an association? That's a salary while I'm out there trying to build relationships on commission. So there's an example of the known unknowns. Here's another one. You're a trades contractor and you're out there saying, I'm going to go ahead and source work. I believe that I saw somebody else getting work from storms, so I'm going to go get that kind of work, which is called insurance work. But I don't know how to do retail work. Well, I thought I could get retail work the same way that I get insurance work. No, one of those known unknowns is you may learn one, you may not know the other. You might not know that for insurance work, it's actually a ground game field sales approach. When it comes to retail work, it's a digital frequency, different approach. One is through authority, one is through service. And if you can align the two, you can source both. But under the unknown unknowns, you may not know that even though you have sales on one side and you have marketing on this side for awareness, you're missing the business development component. That under the unknown unknowns, you may not be aware that in the case of a contractor, if you install that component, you will then be able to generate more retail work in volume through that connection and more insurance work through the capacity that enables. And the irony is this: in your business, through commissions and very expensive acquisition marketing, you may be spending 30 cents on every dollar. If you don't believe it, you'll see it over time in your financials. In sales, obviously, when you get the sale, it sounds good, but then you may create an AR problem that you're not aware of. But business development can literally cost you a couple $100, $200-300 a month to implement it. But in order to do that, you need to have that knowledge. And that is the premise behind SMB, because SMB Business Acceleration, as we have brought it together, is designed to give you the information that you need, the knowledge that you need, and we put it together as a service by subscription, so it also becomes economically viable, that allows you to take things to the next level. Let me show you one example of that, okay? We usually begin by asking the question, what is the purpose of an LLC? And most folks will raise their hand. We've done seminars where everyone raises their hand right away, and we start hearing things like, it's to separate liability, it's so that you can have a separate entity. There we go. There's the known knowns, okay? Some of the known unknowns might be, oh, I did not know that it could be member managed, right? Or manager managed, or non-member managed. And what is the difference between those three, right? You can find out because you can say, oh, wait a minute, I can seek out that knowledge. What you may not be aware of is the next layer of the unknown unknowns that the LLC has. And that's one of those areas that, again, it's nice to be able to have a discovery point for that, because that changes everything. Let me go to the second part. If you've gotten past the understanding of what an LLC is, what is the purpose of a service contract, right? You may say, all right, I have a service agreement or a product agreement, right? Or terms of service. It's so that they know what they're getting and I know what I'm giving them. Well, that might be true, but the purpose of a service agreement, again, now look, we're crossing over to the unknown unknowns, which we run into this a lot. The service agreement, the purpose of the service agreement, if you really understand the deep end of the pool, is to limit the liability that you have to this single transaction so that your LLC is never at risk or compromised. Now, if you already knew that, then you're already a graduate of that level of understanding. If this is the first time you hear that, you can see where SMB was created for that purpose. The unknown unknowns are some of those things that we just don't think to trek into because they're not in the active lane of our life. They're not something that we're actively seeking. And unless it's brought to your attention, you're probably not gonna know what it is. And that has nothing to do with intelligence or smart. The simple fact is that we've seen a lot of good, honorable salespeople that are really good at what they sell decide to become owner. And when you become a business owner, you might be really good at sales. You might be really good at generating a transaction, but you may not be that good at everything else. I should know from my own experience that in my own life, that's exactly what happened. Just because I could sell did not mean that I understood all the other critical components, which includes accounting and understanding the compliance and all the regulatory that goes with it. You know, how many folks do you know that they say, I just want to go ahead and send out 100,000 emails? Well, that sounds nice, but there's a lot of laws that say, one, you can't do it. If you do it, there's certain lanes you need to follow. And even within those lanes, you can still find yourself liable if you don't do them correctly. So having the right understandings beyond the known knowns and known unknowns is those unknown unknowns that you must know. Now, third one, this one's really interesting. What is the purpose of a CPA? Many times folks say, well, I have a good bookkeeper. Okay, I wish they would even say bookkeeper, so they say I have a good accountant. And later on, when we go into talking about it in detail, they say, well, no, actually, it's not an accountant, it's a bookkeeper. So bookkeeper is not CPA. Oh, well, I have a good accountant. Well, a good accountant is not CPA. What is the difference between a CPA and a regular accountant? Again, known knowns, known unknowns, unknown unknowns. The purpose of having a CPA is not only to say you can finish your year and do your taxes and your financials, but if the business that you're in is transacting in a certain way that maybe later on, let's say the IRS comes back and says, well, the way you have your business structured, the way you have your ownership, the way you're providing what you're providing, or just simply the way you are collecting payment or the way you're operating the business doesn't match, therefore you are now liable for a whole bunch of stuff. What's the purpose of CPA? To give you a letter of opinion from the CPA in writing with their seal that basically says that the way you're operating is in line with current laws or statutes or policies at the IRS, so that you know that you're not going to have issues. So At the end of the day, what is the purpose of the CPA? To limit the tax liability and any other open liabilities, so that you can take everything that you made from a service agreement that is going through your LLC and not have to have financial consequences from it. Okay? Now, this right here, I'm going to give you guys a bonus in this first video. What is the purpose of an attorney, right? A lot of people say, oh, I don't need them, I can go to LegalZoom. You can go to LegalZoom and do a procedure. You can go into a courtroom and represent yourself. But when it comes to an attorney, the purpose of an attorney is if you're going to operate a business where you have an LLC, for example, and you have a service agreement, and the type of business that you're going to do is one that you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to check with my attorney if I can do that. Go ahead and ask your attorney. But do yourself a favor and ask that attorney, here we go, the unknown unknowns, for a legal letter of opinion that comes from the attorney that says that the business that you're engaged in can proceed, or in their opinion, you can do that. A legal letter of opinion from the attorney has your original inquiry, it has the opinion from the attorney, the laws that pertain to that question, any case law that might be cited, maybe some notes, and most importantly, the seal and the signature from that law firm. So if you're a contractor, for example, and later on, let's say the regulatory says, hey, I understand that you're doing this, but it's borderline adjusting work. I don't think you can do that. You're going to be liable. Your Honor, I'm sorry. I relied on my legal letter of opinion from my attorney, and therefore, here's the letter. I just want to let you know that I took mitigating steps to try to make sure that I was responsible. Changes the entire landscape, and that's why we talk about those unknown unknowns being so essential, right? And then we talk about the last part. Some people can put in here death, you can put legacy. Let's put down legacy. What is the purpose of legacy, or what does it even mean? If you have set up an LLC or an Inc., corporation, and you have structured it properly, right? So that you can put everything in its lane and everyone knows what they're supposed to do, and they're all protected within those lanes of authority the shield is holding, right? What is the purpose of the service agreement? So that it limits that liability. What is the purpose of a CPA, right? Get those letters of opinion from them. What is the purpose of the attorney? To again, let you know that you structured all these things in accordance and that you have legal letters of opinion from them. So what is the purpose of moving on in our life? The legacy question is, if you did these things properly, then you can transfer to your family and heirs and so forth all the work that you did, and you can transform it in one lifetime. But SMB does not provide legal advice, it doesn't provide tax advice, it doesn't provide financial advice. What we do understand is that a lot of folks out there, licensed professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, are trying to get, obviously, a piece of the American dream, right? You want to be able to have your trials and also the reward for it. But SMB, from just the sheer number of times that we saw, we would just in casual conversations talk to folks, and they said, yeah, I formed it. I have the operating agreement from the LLC when I first started. I think it's stored away in some cabinet, unbeknownst to them that is literally a living document that you need to be looking at and updating as the business continues to move. Just as much as you go and you open the door every day, you need to go in there and look at that and see if everything that it says on there matches the way you're operating your business. Because when you get a good attorney, that attorney will then tell you what is or isn't in that proper structure. Okay? Service agreement, are you limiting that liability in that service agreement? And again, because we're not counsel, we can't tell you what that advice should be, but that's where you need to understand the basic principles so you can go to proper counsel, get the proper language, get that into an LLO so that you have what you need to then prosper. On the CPA side, the same thing. And again, if you do these things properly, you now have a beginning foundation to start. Now, from here, things get really interesting because, again, I'm 51 years old. By now, you learn a few things and you try to humble yourself and try not to repeat mistakes in life, okay? In that same space, I also realized that with every year I'm getting older, so I, like the rest of you, will eventually be leaving this earth, and leaving it to our legacy and to our families. And you want to at least make an effort to leave something better, or leave something behind, or leave things better than the way you originally found them. So this, again, is just the beginning. A lot of professionals out there, or even small business owners, they want to dabble in real estate. Well, look at this. We wrote LLC, right? Come to find out, you can actually have a real estate LLC. You can have a charging order LLC. There's very different variants that, again, the attorneys will then understand what you're trying to do, get it in writing, which one you're going to proceed with so you can do this right, get your service agreement. If you're going to do transactions, remember what I said about that real estate agent and realtor? You don't have to use an association standard template contract that doesn't really have all the things that you needed to have. You go to counsel and you have them write a proper agreement that has those protections in there for you, because you are the individual, not the association, not the whole, tribe. You are an individual. So I hope this gives you a very, very, very light overview of SMB. We try to have a seminar on occasion, and if so, join our list, join our group that we have on Meetup. And sometimes we do the seminars online, and that way you can have as much reach as possible, because the idea is bring your questions, pitch your service. Let's see what it sounds like when you're pitching your service, to see how it is that an audience would react to what you're trying to offer. And then also it allows you to have a network of folks that understand that. For example, some of the bankers that we work with, they understand that the business requires a different relationship than a consumer type relationship. So you may need certain capabilities. Here's one that you're gonna like in particular. If you're a small business, and let's say that you're invoicing through QuickBooks or through any other external device or application, that's fine. But some of the banks out there that understand commercial business relationship have the ability for you to invoice through that account and that relationship. So very first thing to do is go ahead and set it up through them, so they can see how your clients are paying you, when they're paying you, so they can understand your business, as opposed to bringing them financials that just summarize how much came in and how much went out. Remember, it's your business at the end of the day, so because it is your business, you want to be able to optimize that. And this is just a 0.001% of the type of things that you can encounter, type of things that you can learn. We're going to post some videos of some of the individuals that have attended the seminars, and we hope that this brings you information, knowledge, resources, and in the context of things that from all that you can extract the wisdom that you need to accelerate the business endeavor that you're in. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.